Hey folks, hey, another quick video today from Red-tailed Fan School. There was a posting recently on a Facebook forum I'm part of where a user wanted, here let me just show what they had wanted to do. They had a pool league and they were collecting by week the different people's scores and their wins and losses and trying to come up with a win-loss percent record. And in this case here, you see that this was their cumulative. So they were having to write a formula and sum all the different weeks by person. So they were asking if there was a better way to do this. And my suggestion was to build a form. And on the form, we have a week drop-down menu, a player drop-down menu, and then simply wins and losses. But then what we're doing here on our form response sheet, we're doing some fairly complex formulas here to do the BYROW lambda sum so that I can get a sum of my total games, my wins, my losses, and you can see I get the sum. And in order to do that, I had to use an array formula and basically an if statement so that I wouldn't get any NAs showing up if I had extra rows in here. I often on my form responses, I remove all extra rows. Just in these cases, it simplifies some things. And then my second formula here, my win percent is D2 over F2. And again, that's an array formula. So it does a calculation of the percentage. Now and notice this is by week, by player. So I don't have a summary. But what I can do over here on my summary page, I've set up both a query, and that query looks like this. I am doing a query where I'm selecting C, and then I'm summing D, summing E, summing F, and then summing then doing a quotient, actually, the sum of D over the sum of F. I'm grouping that by C, so I get the players in this query. And then I am labeling the sum D as wins, sum E as losses, sum F as total and games, and sum D over sum of F as the win percent. And then I want to format the sum D over sum F as a percent, so it shows up like that. So that's my query. And this is a pivot table. I'll show you that. This one was a little interesting because I added in, I used the add function of my values. I use this add function to bring in a win percent. And I found that if I averaged the win percent that already exists, if I did an average of an average, it wasn't correct. So I did a calculation in here and did a calculation field in the pivot table, which is the more accurate way to do it. I get the sum of wins over the sum of total games and format that as this percent. So that's the pivot table, and then down here I did another query so that you could use a drop-down menu. This is actually a validation. We take a look at it. It's just a validation of C2 colon C. Well, it's a drop-down of C2 colon C. So as I add new players, they're going to show up in my drop-down list. And then I can switch between any particular player, and as this builds out, you would see how a different player is doing on the different number of weeks. So this is an interesting way if you ever need to build collect data and do a summary. And in this case, this was a pool league that a person wanted to do a win-loss record over a period of time. And if you wanted to and wanted to analyze your weeks, you could do the same thing here where we could do our weeks instead of players. and you know, really you could do all that simply by maybe even add, you know, maybe this is the player summary, and then we might add a week summary and change like the pivot table and the query to show weeks instead of players. So hope you enjoy.